Skincare goals, predictions, and trends, specifically what is changing in 2022. The beauty industry is changing, and there are subliminal hints that are popping up both in the media as well as in what we see inside of our products, but a lot of people aren't in tune with it or aren't picking up. So I want to share what the cosmetic chemists have been talking about. What's going on behind the scenes of beauty with new trends, with new research, with new ingredients, and yes, even celebrity beauty lines. Talking about what we're going to see in 2022 and whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. You know how K-beauty has taken over the industry for the last couple years, especially Korean skincare, speaking about products and brands that have been popular in Korea but that people here just haven't heard of? Well, now we know about all these retailers like YesStyle, Stylevana, Wishtrend, and more. I think that we're going to continue seeing new retailers that are popular there come over here like Olive Young, but I also think that K-beauty has kind of had its moment, and I think that Japanese beauty is going to start to take over. My prediction, and basically where I see the industry going, is that Japanese beauty is going to become what K-beauty was. The issue with Japanese beauty currently is that there isn't a lot of it, or a lot of people don't know about it. And a lot of the Japanese beauty that we do have available here are things like Tatcha, which are not authentic Japanese beauty. They are brands that were created by Americans in America that are Japanese inspired. Yet there are some amazing Japanese skincare lines that have amazing ingredients, high efficacy, a lot of technology comes out of Japan and we see them in these products, but they just haven't made their way over. SK2 did for $200, but it's made by L'Oreal. And I think that we are going to start to see a huge rise in Japanese beauty, but also an understanding of how Japanese culture impacts beauty and start to have that become more widespread over here. I don't know if it's actually going to happen in 2022 or 2023, but I do believe that J-beauty is going to be what K-beauty is today. And just the way we have all these amazing K-beauty brands popping up, we're going to have J-beauty brands. And if anything, they're going to be better than these kind of Americanized versions of Japanese beauty that we currently have. And I have a feeling there's a lot of brands in Japan that we haven't even heard of that are going to make their way over or that aren't even created yet. This is one that I fell in love with from Slow Brew. This one actually has yuzu, and that's another trend I think we're going to see is more yuzu. Now, this is a citrus that is very common in Japanese cuisine, but it's also common in other areas. And we've seen a lot of grapefruit recently. We've seen, a fair amount of orange and lemon, but I think we're going to start to see more of these kind of unique citruses, especially yuzu when it comes to brightening formulas, anti-hyperpigmentation, etc. And vitamin C definitely had a moment back in 2021, but based on what's being said behind the scenes with cosmetic chemists, 2022 holds some very interesting molecules, specifically liposomal vitamin C. Vitamin C, as we know, L-ascorbic acid, is very unstable, but people love it, and it's, the most common form of vitamin C that's currently used. But as you skintellectuals know, it is also quite unstable. Now, liposomal vitamin C or ester vitamin C or encapsulated vitamin C is much more stable. It's more gentle on the skin and it's absorbed better. The big problem is that it is more difficult to formulate with, or it is more hard to come by. Going into 2022, I think that people know the benefits of vitamin C from 2021. I think they are excited about the way it works, but frustrated with the way that it's unstable, or frustrated with the way that it makes the skin feel. So I think that these encapsulated forms that are so much more gentle are really going to take over, and I do believe that the same goes for retinol. Retinoids are the gold standard in dermatology, and they have been since God made dirt, like since they were discovered in prisoners, by the way. They have been a gold standard for acne, for hyperpigmentation, for wrinkles, etc. However, just like vitamin C, retinoids had a moment in 2020 and 2021, but a lot of people went through retinization or this irritation. Now, encapsulated retinol is another way to get retinol or retinoids into the skin in a way that isn't as irritating. And cosmetic chemists have been working behind the scenes to make encapsulated forms more accessible, because we have these encapsulated forms, but they're expensive or they're difficult to use. But as more people demand it, and as more people struggle with retinoid use, I do believe that companies see that, and therefore these companies pay cosmetic chemists to do more research or more testing to figure out how to put these into formulas at a price that works. I'm actually very excited about encapsulated retinol. It's something that I love in my skincare routine when I have a couple products that have like a crystal or retinol form, but I think it's going to really take off in 2022. And I do believe that that's going to be at the benefit of all of our skin. Speaking of skin, body care. Dude, at the end of 2021, body care is already having a moment. We see it in the YouTube comments. I mean, in every single video, there's at least 3 people who are like, Cassandra, please make a body care video, or please update us on this. And I'm like, wait, we've already spoken about body care like 3 times in the last month. But yes, okay. I certainly think that body care is really going to take off in 2022. And with COVID, with Omicron, we don't exactly know what's going to happen. We're hoping that this is, really the beginning of the end and things start to open back up. And for the people who have, started to obsess over areas of their body more because they've been at home or in front of the mirror, they're looking for firming creams for the abdomen. They're looking for cellulite creams for certain areas of the body. They're looking for moisturizers for the elbows or brighteners for the hands. And I think that as people fell in love with skincare, we know that the skin is our body's largest organ. I think that body care is going to continue to be very exciting for people, and we're actually going to learn a little bit more about it. But at the same time that people are going to start adding more body care into their routines, I also think that we're going to practice more skin minimalism or skinimalism. Dermangelo, I don't know if he coined this term or if he really just kind of pioneered it, but he's on TikTok and Instagram, and he has this idea of intentional skincare, using only what we need. With the rise of K-beauty, we saw this 14 to 20 step skincare routine, and we see these celebrities with their 58-step morning routines. And while that's wonderful, for you and I, we just don't have time. And hopefully as the world opens up and people go back to work in offices or in hybrid situations, we don't have time to do 58 steps before we get out the door. So I do think that skinimalism, or using skincare intentionally based on exactly what we need, is going to be a trend and going to be more adopted. It's almost like the minimalism movement for our faces. I also think that people really got burned in 2021. Got burned by the marketing, got burned by the sunscreens that had, fake SPF in them, got burned by the brands that were just bitches, and got burned by really great actives and mixing them way too much. A lot of people aren't subscribed to this YouTube channel, they aren't skintellectuals, and they don't know how to use glycolic acid, lactic acid, salicylic acid, along with a physical exfoliant and everything else. And a lot of people did a lot of damage to their skin barrier because they were at home, they were playing with new products, they weren't necessarily getting the education that they needed on how to use skincare appropriately or how to care for skin as opposed to just stripping it. And hi, we do live in an overexfoliation nation. People got physically burned, and I think that people still love their actives, but they're going to be much more selective about how they use and pair those actives. And I think that skinimalism plays into that, but so does microdosing. The idea of microdosing skincare actually came from microdosing psychedelics. I believe that it's the idea of microdosing on certain substances so you don't get like the full-fledged effect of woo-woo crazy, but you get these small little boosts. And the same philosophy is carried over to skincare. I haven't seen medical data supporting it, but I've definitely seen magazines like Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, and Allure, and Refinery 29, and all the publications that I love to read, they've all covered it. And I do think that this microdosing of very low concentration actives is going to start to be a thing in 2022. But I also think that we're going to discover some new actives. You see, there have been some actives that have been here all along throughout 2021, but that didn't get the light of day from mainstream media. And trust me, when I say that something like L-Mandelic acid is phenomenal, a lot of people sit there and they're like, wait, Cassandra, what is L-Mandelic acid? Why have I never heard of this? It comes from bitter almonds. The L speaks about the chirality. This is phenomenal. It's been an AHA that's been around since almonds have, but a lot of people haven't heard of it. They know the glycolic, they know the lactic, and that's it. L-Mandelic acid is phenomenal, and I think we first really saw it kind of hit the mainstream skinfluencer world in 2020. Wishtrend launched their Mandelic acid toner, which was great. But when they did, so many people were kind of like, ooh, what is this? This is amazing. It's non-irritating. Oh my God, I need more. Well, what did brands do? They started to create more. And now that that testing process and now that that creation and the stability testing of those products is finally done, takes a couple years, we're really gonna see that in 2022. One of the brands that already has L-Mandelic acid that my skin freaking drinks up, literally like an almond milkshake. This is the Face Reality 8% L-Mandelic acid serum. I've been using the 8%. I think I'm about ready to graduate to the 11% that they have, but this comes from bitter almonds. It's gentle, it's safe for acne, it's exfoliating, it's brightening, it's it's hydrating. And this is part of my Skinimalism routine, and the fact that this brand Face Reality actually sells it at different concentrations, it allows people to partake in that microdosing if they want to. This is phenomenal. L-Mandelic acid is phenomenal. Some people got that hint when Wishtrend launched that product, and then a couple brands kind of snuck it into their ingredients lists, but I really think that we're gonna see it take off this year. Speaking of taking off, we all took off our makeup. This was over the past 2 years. We saw this trend of makeup just going away, and we saw this trend of glass skin. But 2022, we're looking at more clean skin, which I actually have an issue with. You know, clean skin is this trend of skin being clean, and something that is clean insinuates something else is dirty. And what's frustrating is that for people who have acne or rosacea or just blemishes on their skin in any form or manner, people are really excluded from that conversation because the clean skin look prohibits you from having acne. I think that's problematic, but we've seen it kind of take off at the end of the year, and I think that especially when it comes to makeup, we're gonna see that carry into 2022. This clean skin look, or even just this minimal no makeup type of thing, is going to be, you know, primers instead of foundations, even tinted sunscreen instead of foundation, which I live for. But I think that people are gonna start to play around with a couple makeup items, but they're going to be light, and they're also going to be a little bit different. You know, with the rise of TikTok, what performs? A lot of things that change color, a lot of things that have a dramatic before and after. I think we're gonna see a lot of color changing. There's a blush that's a literal green liquid that I found on Amazon. It has a magnet in it, and when you put it on your face, it literally adjusts to your skin tone. I remember 10 years ago going to the drugstore and finding those Algae, you know, blushes and foundations that matched to your skin, and they didn't work. They were in these stupid white tubes. Well, this little green oil, yeah, this actually worked. There's also this glitter lip product that's taking off on TikTok that like changes color with your lips. These are the things I think we're going to see. They're fun to use. There's a dramatic before and after that's going to take off on social media. They actually look good. They actually complement different skin tones because they do adjust well. I think that that's what we're going to see when it comes to makeup, along with some more natural mascara, you know, some brows, very little, you know, the little bit of highlights, especially those 3 lines that we see on TikTok here, here, and here. We're losing the heavy contour and the heavy brows. It's no longer the influencer look, but it's the oopsies, just got kissed by a makeup brush sort of thing. Or just got kissed by the sun, but not because of sun exposure, but because of tinted sunscreen or self-tanners. A lot of people have been indoors. Some people have been self-tanning, but not a ton. Definitely going into 2022, I think it's going to be the second rendition of Hot Girl Summer, or maybe Desperate Girl Summer of I'm desperate to see actual people and go outside. And I think that self-tanners are coming back. There are even these self-tanning drops from Glo that I've liked and been using. There's EcoTan. There's a lot of really good self-tanners now that don't make us look orange. I think a lot of those are going to be coming back. But I think that sunscreens are too. You know, if you've been in the skinfluencer community, you know how important sunscreen is. SPF is your BFF, right? And if you've ever cared about skincare or you've worked in the world of dermatology, you know that sunscreen is the #1 skincare product. It is an anti-cancer drug. It is essential. But the mainstream media, the mainstream population doesn't know this. But because it was spoken about so much in 2021, people are starting to wake up to it. And I think in 2022, that's just going to be elevated. See, the current problems with the sunscreen market are that A, America doesn't have very good chemical filters, which is why we've fallen onto a lot of Korean sunscreens because they are so good and so elegant. And then number 2, there are no mineral blends that really care for skin of color. If you have black, ebony, or brown skin, so many mineral sunscreens come off white or pasty or gray or purple, and they just don't look good, and they're very exclusionary. Exclusionary? They're exclusionary. They're excluding, they're not exfoliating. English. They exclude a lot of people. And my hope and my prediction is that we're gonna see brands like Fenty Skin come out with dark tints for sunscreen, specifically for tinted sunscreens that are mineral formulas. I think that these are already in the works, but you know, it takes a couple years to get FDA approval. I think that some of that is happening, and trust me, from the cosmetic chemistry side, I know that some of those filters that are popular in Korea and in Germany and other areas of the world, they're being tested right now. And I don't know if the FDA is going to widely approve them, but mark my words, we're gonna start seeing some new filters, whether they are unofficial or official by the FDA. And some of these new filters are really going to make it a lot easier for us to have really beautiful, elegant formulas that don't flash back and that are tear-free. I think that 2022 is going to be a year of innovating in sunscreens, and I cannot wait for this one. The other trend I can't wait for that's already kind of peeking out of its little groundhog hole is refillable products. Refillable beauty is becoming a thing, and I am so happy about this. Sustainability is so important for our planet and for the way we consume. And unfortunately, the beauty industry a lot of times does have large amounts of waste. It's not as bad as the fashion industry, but like, it's bad. And speaking of fashion, that's why I rent these things. Look at me, I feel fancy, but I don't have to spend money on it long term, and then I can return them, and I don't have to do laundry either. Also, celebrity beauty lines. They're popping out of the woodwork. It's not gonna stop. It's going to continue. The celebrity skincare line is like those stupid perfumes that every celebrity and singer was launching at Kohl's in like 2009, 2010. It's gonna continue to happen. Is it a good thing? I don't know, but is it here? Yeah, some of it's gonna be trash. Some celebrities are partnering with derms and chemists that are actually really good. I think we're gonna see a lot more Kardashian beauty lines that I'm not excited about, but you know, let's look at the ingredients and try out the formulas before we just, you know, automatically judge them, because Kylie Baby impressed me back in 2021, but celebrity skincare lines are not going away anytime soon. But refillable beauty and reusable little containers are going to be it. We've already seen it a little bit. Fenty Skin launched a lot of amazing products that have refillable things. Acederma is such a great brand that no one talks about. They have moisturizers and science-backed formulas where you can literally refill them, so it's more sustainable. Also, Glo Recipe just launched I think it's a refillable Plum sort of hyaluronic acid sort of serum moisturizer container thingy. And Necessaire as well. They have Necessaire. They have this aluminum type of body can where you can actually just buy the refillable inserts. And I think that this is going to be the way of the future. Refillable little beauty things where you can have a little package and just get a little cartridge or container. It goes along with skinimalism because people are going to find what works for them and just repurchase it. But then they're going to repurchase the cartridges so that way they can do better for the environment. Even Reduit. Reduit is like the sustainable, recyclable Keurig of the skincare world. And they have like these micro misters. I think micro misters are also going to take off. Right now I know of the Reduit and I also know of the Droplette. Both are good. I think I had a personal issue with the Droplette because I think that I was using it improperly. I need to revisit that. But I do think that we're going to see a couple more micro misters. The question is, does the science back them extraordinarily well? Is there something that we can start to do better? Is there a way we can actually test that penetration? But beauty tech and beauty tools are going to take off as well. We're already seeing it. Right now, everyone is very concerned about anti-aging, and there are a ton of anti-aging tools on the market. I mean, you see them. I love the Age R from Medicube. I'm obsessed with the NuFace. I'm obsessed with my Reduit. Shani Darden has her thing, the punch of the face that's gentle punching of massage. Whole bunch of great things. We see all these chin straps. The chin straps for anti-aging are not putting any plastic surgeons out of business. In the words of facial plastic surgeon Dr. Prem Tripathi, okay? However, I do think we're gonna see a lot more of these types of devices hit the market. There are some new ones in the works and I am excited for them. And I think that people are really opening up to devices at home. We're kind of moving on from the jade rollers and the gua shas and the little face masks, and we're getting serious. We're getting clinical. That's actually being matched in the office and in the plastic surgeon's clinic. We're seeing a lot more people come in for less invasive surgeries, such as the non-surgical nose job or the liquid rhinoplasty, things such as thread lifts, things such as Botox and fillers. Every Instagram model has them nowadays, or so it seems, and a lot of people are going in to get them. They're not afraid of needles. And you know, we're not doing a ton of facelifts, but there are some thread lifts, there are some pony lifts, there are some changes happening to celebrity faces, and people are starting to copy that. And as people, you know, warm up to some of these procedures, when done correctly and safely by experts, not only do they look good, but they're safe, they're effective, right? And a lot of people are starting to take tools home and do the same thing. Now, this can be very, very bad. For instance, when it comes to at-home microneedling, please don't. Get radiofrequency microneedling by Secret from Cutera in office. Do not introduce infection to your face at home. Staphylococcus aureus getting inside of your skin and into your bloodstream is not your friend. However, there are some at-home treatments that are excellent, just like the NuFace, and I think that we are going to see even more beauty tech and more beauty devices coming out. I mean, also like tech, the tech of wearables, the tech of tracking our bodies. Look at the Forward Medical Office that's literally, you know, technology meets healthcare. We're seeing tech really take off in the healthcare space, but I think it's also going to be in beauty. Look at Vanessa Hudgens and No Beauty with Madison Beer and a dermatologist. They're doing DNA tests for your skin health. I am not sold on the science of that yet because I don't know what data set they are referencing, but beauty tech, whether it is good and helpful or whether it is unsubstantiated, it is becoming a thing. And we're going to see more of this tech pop up. Specifically, there is a clinic in San Francisco called Revia. They are amazing. They have customized skincare, but they actually track your skin health using scientifically backed methods. They literally do surface hemoglobin tests, surface oxygen tests. They have these skin analysis devices that, traditionally were only available in a dermatology clinic. But now you can walk into Revia and you can get it done. Same with Forward. You used to have to wait, for months to see a doctor. And now you can just walk in, get a little scan, get your blood work done if you want to, and go on your way. And, even with these wearables, you can check your heart rate, you can check your sleep. Tech is becoming more and more a part of our world. The metaverse is becoming a thing. I do think that skincare and beauty is going to start to take off in the metaverse. I have no idea what it's going to look like yet, but why do we wear fashion? Why do we wear specific clothing? Why do we use certain brands, drive certain cars, or even take out a Chanel compact, right? Or spend $400 on a La Mer moisturizer? It's because that brand resonates with us, or showing it off says something about how we perceive ourselves and our identity, right? Well, the metaverse is a new layer of reality. It's virtual reality, where we are still going to be interacting with people. And as long as we are interacting with people who can see us and judge us and perceive us, human psychology is going to stay the same. And people are still going to be purchasing items, whether they are digital or real, that say something about them or that they identify with. And I do think that skincare and makeup, and of course fashion, are parts of that. We've already seen fashion take off in the metaverse. I think the areas of skincare and makeup are going to do that as well. And I'm very interested to see what that looks like from a virtual reality perspective. Speaking of these at-home tools and treatments, at-home LED devices have gotten so good. In the clinic, we have these LED panels. They're $8,000 to $16,000. If you are looking for the right wavelength and at the right strength so they actually penetrate into the skin and work, you have to pay a lot of money. But we're starting to see all these celebrities use these little at-home LED devices. A lot of them are trash, like for instance, the Foreo UFO. I don't believe that for a second. Like, freaking stop. However, Dr. Dennis Gross has their face mask. They've actually done testing on it and it's performed really well. Doc Dorley, a dermatologist, Dr. Shaw, and Dr. Maxfield, they love it, okay? Then we even have the Dermabeam, which I love. It actually protects the eye area, actually has the right wavelengths. The lights are actually curved and domed as opposed to flat. For $140, $150, you're getting an at-home quality treatment in an LED form that's finally okay. There's even this one little wand I saw a celebrity using that you hold over your face. When you actually test, the strength of that light, it's not half bad. There are still a lot of scammy LED lights out there. Trust me, that stupid Phantom one, I tried it. No. But things like the Dermabeam or the Dr. Dennis Gross, it's showing us that it's possible. Dr. Dennis Gross is still like $450, $500 for it, but you know what? It's happening. And I think that we're still going to continue to see both scammy LED products as well as actual LED products for at-home use hit the market, and a lot of this beauty tech. Speaking of the anti-aging trend and the beauty tech, adenosine triphosphate. We are going to see biostimulators in skincare, or at least that's what I think is coming. Right now, the NuFace is doing it. ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is what our body uses as energy, right? It's made in the mitochondria. We need ATP to survive, but our skin cells, as well as other cells in our body, use it as energy. And as energy in our skin, it helps to facilitate different biochemical reactions. It helps to facilitate our body and our skin to do what it does and to proliferate, right? We want to build more collagen, we want to absorb and use nutrients, we want a cascade of effects in the body. We need some ATP to kind of make that health and that glow happen. We just need ATP for our skin cells to create more skin cells. And devices like the NuFace claim to stimulate ATP already, but I think that we're going to see more of that. And I wonder if we're actually going to see it in not only tools, but also creams. These biostimulators, things that kind of help enhance the collagen matrix. We're already seeing that, but I think we're going to see more of it. And I don't exactly know what it looks like. I'm assuming it's going to be more electrocurrent, probably not very mechanical. I assume that it's probably going to be specific actives, or again, these encapsulated materials that are delivered into the skin. But I'm fascinated about where that's going. And when looking at some of the papers and publications that are coming out, and when looking at some of the science that's being uncovered and what kind of chemists and physicists are talking about behind the scenes, ooh, it is interesting. Speaking of a study, there was a very interesting study on facial fillers that Dr. Prem Tripathi spoke about on TikTok. Specifically, it looks like filler might actually be harming bone. There there was some bone loss in patients who had filler, over the course of 10, 20 years. I don't know all the details about that. Doesn't mean that fillers cause bone loss, doesn't mean that fillers are bad. It just means that we need to look into this, especially since fillers are becoming more and more common. And publications like this help us advance science. They help us advance medicine, aesthetic medicine, and beauty. I hope that we're going to see more funding for aesthetic studies. A lot of the funding, comes from big pharma, comes from research grants, or it comes from companies, who want to produce interesting items for consumers that will buy because, hello, we live in America, capitalist society. But I do think that we're going to see more funding specifically for beauty by some of these beauty brands, and I just hope that it remains unbiased and authentic. And I hope that that means we're gonna look more into filler. There was a YouTuber here a doctor who spoke about doing MRIs on filler and how it doesn't dissolve in the face all the time. I think we're going to learn more about these things, or look at this model who went under cool sculpting to remove body fat, but instead she had paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, or this growth of fat in areas that she didn't want it. I think that we are going to see some more studies on these kinds of things, and it's going to kind of uncover, both the positive benefits, but also some of the rare side effects or the rare negatives of some of what these treatments or these procedures can do. And for the sake of truth and the sake of patient safety and for the sake of advancing aesthetic medicine and science and beauty, I think it's a great thing. And I'm very, very excited to kind of see what these actual studies, hopefully double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, but I'm excited to see where these studies and trials take us. I also think we are going to see more transparency. People are waking up and getting frustrated with a lot of scammy brands and a lot of luxury brands. And that's why brands like The Ordinary, that has simple ingredients, or Good Molecules, they literally have this nothing to hide ingredients list. This is becoming exciting for customers, and they're starting to demand it. And again, it's not bad if a company doesn't tell us what % of glycolic acid they're using, but customers want that now. They're demanding it. That's why, again, Beauty Pie is taking off, The Ordinary is taking off the Inky list. I think that some of these single ingredient lines are going to continue, just like we saw with the launch of Boots Ingredients, but also this kind of nothing to hide from Good Molecules, or this transparency. It's very important to us as consumers, especially because we have been burned by marketing in the industry. And I do believe that 2022 is going to come with launches, or with some repackaging or some renditions of current brands deciding to step up to the plate and saying, hey, we are doing it right. We see that other people are not. We see that people are concerned and suspicious. So here are all of our cards. This is what we're doing, and this is why we believe in what we're creating. I think that's really honorable. Honesty, transparency, there's something that I respect so much. They're core values of mine, and seeing companies adopt those things, it's very exciting, and it's something that I have been waiting for quite some time. But I do also think that we're going to see a bigger divide between the science of skincare and the clean beauty movement. Clean beauty is having a moment. We have, this entire store like Credo Beauty, which is great, or the detox market, which is great. But we have this, Clean at Sephora, which also has some great products, but a lot of those are taking off. Yet on the other side, we have The Ordinary, saying that beauty is a mess. We have a lot of these products like Good Science Beauty, or these brands that are focused on the science of skincare. We have Good Molecules. I think that we're going to see a further divide. Now, I think there's going to be some crossover. There are some brands that are saying, yes, we identify as natural or clean, but we define it in a new way, and we're backed by science. We love our molecules and our chemicals, even though we consider ourselves clean. There's a little bit of that. Those are kind of the bridges of hope that I see, but I do think there's going to be more of a divide. Right now, the clean beauty, is kind of the shining star. Everyone's paying attention to her, but I think that the science brands are either going to continue to start taking over market share, kind of popping up, because people, scientists, dermatologists, chemists are like, hey, this is the actual science, parabens aren't bad, formaldehyde is in pears, okay, parabens are in grapes, let's calm down with the fear mongering. But I think that there's going to be a continued moment for science-backed beauty and single ingredient beauty, but I think if that divide is going to get a little bit stronger before it gets better. I also think we're still gonna see scams about blue light in skincare. Again, you guys, your technology screens, your computers and your phones and your laptops, these are not what we have to be worried about when it comes to blue light. The main source of blue light that can cause damage in skin is from the sun. But what's even worse and more prevalent than blue light is the UV light. So if you don't have your sunscreen, get your priorities straight first. Then if you wanna worry about blue light from the sun, go ahead. But as Lab Muffin Beauty Science so eloquently put, you're gonna have to have a computer screen on at full brightness for like 30 days to get the same amount of blue light exposure that you're going to get, you know, from the sun from a day. It's absolutely ridiculous, and especially a lot of these blue light companies, it's one thing if they're actually selling blue light blockers, which would be like a pasty titanium dioxide, but that's not what they're selling. They're selling these antioxidant boosting serums. It's like, okay, you're calling it a blue light product, but all it's doing is boosting antioxidants in the skin. That's not protecting from the blue light. Yes, antioxidants can protect against cellular damage, but that's not protecting against blue light. And then they're overcharging you for antioxidants. And that's why I think we're still going to see the rise of blue light bullshit. I think we're also going to see maybe one or two brands saying we're actually going to create some blue light protective stuff because people care. I think that people with integrity like Valkyrae are going to step up and speak out and say, hey, I was really interested in blue light, but I learned more, and this doesn't seem to check out, so I'm gonna back away. Really, really honorable that she did that with her own skincare line because she realized that the blue light stuff, the claims were not all there. But I also think that it's going to persuade a lot of consumers who don't know better to spend their money on these things and then be disappointed. I do think we're gonna have a rise in the love of antioxidants. We already see antioxidants in everything. I mean, dude, freaking almost anything can become an antioxidant, right? But we're definitely going to see a lot more focus on antioxidants, and specifically some of those special ingredients. Things like indigo, things like grapes with resveratrol, things like anthocyanins, right? That come from different fruits or different berries that are black and red. Tulip. I think that tulip and some of these flower ingredients are going to take over. Again, tulip and indigo. Even elderberry kind of had a moment last year. And yes, you have vitamin C, you have antioxidants, you have phytonutrients, all great things. But I think that we're going to see some more of these complex antioxidants that kind of have this leveled up form. For example, our skin and our skincare products and the industry right now loves green tea, and it's great, right? And we even love some fermented teas. We're seeing a lot of fermented skincare pop up. That's going to take off continually in 2022. But I also think that we're going to see a little bit of a shift from just green tea to things like black tea or fermented black tea. Black tea generally has more caffeine than green tea, but it still has a lot of amazing antioxidants in it. I think we're going to see a shift to that. And the caffeine in there can act as a vasoconstrictor, you know, can kind of help with puffiness or with redness. I think that we're going to see these new renditions of antioxidants that people weren't focused on before. Anthocyanins, again, from both fruits, foods, as well as flowers. Again, Rose had a moment back in 2020. Rose has always had a moment for like luxury, but as people get more skincare savvy, I mean, indigo, amazing for its antioxidant benefits, skin soothing, etc. Tulip as well. I feel like that is going to take off. And when you listen to what's being said in the chemistry world, a lot of people are studying and formulating with tulip ingredients. You know, it smells good, but there's also a lot of hype and excitement about how it can help with skin, specifically hydration and anti-aging. There was actually a study done in February on fibroblasts from skin cells, as well as 22 women, that actually showed, you know, an increase of collagen production, collagen matrix formation, an increase of fibroblast activity, an increase of, you know, anti-wrinkle and plumpness in the skin that was medically studied. And again, was it biased? You know, we have to check those things. And this is one study on 22 people and, you know, some cells in a dish. But I think that there are more studies underway. And as we continue, I definitely see the industry jumping on this and putting tulip and indigo and anthocyanins in their products even more. We also touched on fermentation. I think we're going to see even more of it. Again, in a lot of Japanese beauty, there's fermentation, so we're gonna see more of that, I do believe. We even have a SK2 in their fermented sake type stuff. That is great. I think we're gonna see more of it. We have Haru with their fermented ingredients and now their fragrance-free fermented kombucha rice toner. I love that one. But I think fermented ingredients are gonna continue to take off because they do such amazing things for skin. There's also Maggioli. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a fermented rice wine. This is starting to take off and trend searches are going up. And I think that we're gonna see more of those things, especially because of what they do for skin. This also relates to prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. You know, the skincare microbiome has been of interest since, you know, since the 2000s, but really been studied since 2015. The skin microbiome is still being studied, widely misunderstood. You know, the Dunning-Kruger effect. People think they know something, then the more they learn, they're like, holy shit, there's so much to learn, I know nothing. That's what's happening to a lot of people and a lot of brands in the industry right now. And I think that we're going to continue to see brands innovating in prebiotic and microbiome stimulating skincare and probiotic skincare, but it's a challenge, especially because our bodies have perfected this over the course of evolution for thousands of years, you know, and now we're trying to support that or work on that in a skincare bottle in, you know, a decade. Good luck. The prebiotics have had their moment. I think they're going to continue. Think of prebiotics as the fertilizer for the probiotics, which are the living organisms. There are also postbiotics and how they help with the skin. We're going to see a lot more postbiotics, but I think that the microbiome trend is going to continue, and that kind of goes hand in hand with bacterial fermentation and how that all plays into, the microbiome and supporting our skin's barrier. Algae is also fantastic. We see it in some products from Biossance as well as Algenist. Really good products, but really expensive. Algae is phenomenal. It's not a plant, it's not an animal, it's this amazing organism. And there's red algae, green algae, brown algae. It does really good stuff. There's also seaweed, but I think that we're going to see more algae. And I'm hoping that we're going to find ways to farm algae and to grow algae that is more sustainable and less expensive, so it doesn't cost as much. I think that that's coming because some of the conversations, those secret conversations with chemists and with agriculture behind the scenes, it's happening. But algae is becoming more and more popular. It's becoming more and more understood, and the benefits are phenomenal. And if you can actually get an algae that is good, that is stable, that is impactful for the skin, oh yeah, it can make you look hydrated, it can make you look bright, it can, balance the microbiome as to what research is pointing to currently. Please and thank you. When it comes to ingredients, I also think that TikTok is going to continue to kind of guide some of the trends. What's difficult is that TikTok is, 30, 60 seconds, 3 minutes. It's fast, it's viral, it pops off. But then brands have to formulate and they have to keep up. Now, that's difficult. We saw chlorophyll have a moment in 2021. We also know that chlorophyll, orally is not this magical blood builder. It can kind of help, but it's not amazing. Topically, even for acne, chlorophyll has some benefit, but it depends on the type of chlorophyll. It depends on if it can get delivered to skin, and it can cause problems for some people. There's so much nuance, to it. But I do think that 2021 sparked some interest in chlorophyll, and I think that in 2022, we're going to see brands who saw that happen in 2021 and started formulating, and they're actually going to create and stabilize and sell products that have chlorophyll based on what happened on TikTok that's actually able to be absorbed by the skin, or maybe has some studies behind it. I am hopeful for that. I think it's coming, and I think that that's what we're going to see. Again, we already spoke about yuzu and citrus. I think that's coming. Turmeric as well. Turmeric has been around for thousands of years. Haldi powder is something that I used to use, and I still sometimes do. Turmeric is, again, very difficult to actually get into the skin. So sometimes fresh turmeric or fresh haldi powder, it's like one of the DIYs that can actually work, but still, is it penetrating very well? Turmeric is in some skincare, even saffron is in some skincare products, but I think that we're going to see it in more. And this Ayurvedic trend, Ayurvedic medicine has been around, again, since God made dirt. Literally thousands of years when you look at Ayurvedic and Eastern medicine and, the culture of different doshas. I do think we're seeing some of those things come over. This is Renovat. They are amazing. This is like $100, but it is worth it. It's actually got real saffron in it. I think we're going to see more turmeric, especially because of those brightening abilities, antioxidants. Again, we're going to see more of it. And we're going to see, hopefully, turmeric or haldi powder products that don't stain the skin, because right now turmeric is so difficult to formulate with because, again, it stains the skin kind of like a yellowish orange. So I really hope that's coming. I've kind of seen it bubbling in the background, but I'm hoping that it's gonna have a moment in this next year. There's also pyrrolidone carboxylic acid, or PCA. We know our AHAs, we know our BHAs. If you're a skintellectual, you know your PHAs, but do you know your PCAs? I think that this is going to take off, especially because, moisture, skinimalism, being gentle with our skin, it is a thing. I think that more amino acids, again, more of these anthocyanins, these words that people, don't understand because they don't know the cosmetic chemistry. That was the way people felt about niacinamide and retinoids until they learned about them. And now that they're like, oh, I know what vitamin C is, it's L-ascorbic acid. They're gonna start looking at L-mandelic acid. They're gonna start looking at anthocyanins. They're gonna be like, oh, I can learn that. I know what that is. And we're actually seeing people understand their beauty and their products better. We're seeing people turn and learn their ingredients, which I freaking love to see. We're still going to see people who demonize rose or hate fragrance or don't understand the nuance in all skincare. But I think that we're going to see more of these gentle exfoliants, these hydrators, humectants, ceramides, amino acids, all of the things that we've already got. People are going to understand them more. And as we, the skintellectual skincare community, love, use, and discuss them, I do do think that mainstream media and more mainstream consumerism is going to start to say, hey, I've heard of niacinamide, I'm interested in trying this new antioxidant or this PCA that sounds scary, but when I learn what a glycosaminoglycan is, I'm not afraid of it anymore because we fear what we don't understand. And I think that that's what's kind of happening in the industry, which is again why there's this divide between clean and scientific beauty. But I think that there is, the scientific side that's finally getting its recognition. Chemicals make up everything. Chemicals aren't bad. We can learn about them and still care for our bodies. And I think that there are going to be some of those bridges that kind of come over. For instance, tulip and chlorophyll, I think, are going to be some of them. And I'm very excited to see where it takes us. I've also got some personal skin goals. I've spoken a little bit about my hair loss, about some genetic testing that I'm doing, some issues that I've currently dealt with. It's been rough, but we're learning through it. And I have some personal goals when it comes to being more sustainable, being more conscious about what I consume, being able to use products a little bit more, being more philanthropic in certain areas that really matter to me, exploring and trying new treatments and ingredients, or continuing to help with them for other people. I do that a lot in silence and kind of behind the scenes, but I am hoping to kind of take that a little bit more public in the ways that are okay with certain people who are open to me sharing their experiences. Very much excited, and I have some of my own skin goals that I'm sharing on Patreon and on Discord, which you're also welcome to join if that's something that you'd like to do for yourself in 2022. Overall, I want to know what trends you think are going to pop out, what is just hype and what is actually worth it because it's healthy for us to consume, understand, and use. What in this lineup do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And have you been staying hydrated, both orally and topically? Have you been reapplying SPF, your BFF? And please always continue to be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, Happy New Year, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.